Alright guys, for today you took standard 10, checkpoint number 2. We're going to go through the answers. We're going to go step by step for each problem. Most of the errors that are made in this standard actually come down to how do you put that equation into your calculator, or occasionally it's just reading a diagram. So like I said, we're going to go through each of these problems here. Let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so the first problem that you had was a cylinder. We're trying to find the volume of the cylinder. So, take a look at it with me here. We've got a cylinder. We know that we have a radius, because it only is halfway through the circle, of 4.9. The height is 7.8. Okay, the formula that we use for any type of prism, if it's a rectangular prism, triangular prism, doesn't matter what the shape is, also works for cylinders. That's capital B times H, and that capital B stands for the area of the base. So in this case, since the area of the base is a circle, we're going to use pi times radius squared. So we're going to take pi times, our radius was 4.9, we're going to square that. So there we just did the capital B, now we're going to go ahead and multiply by H. Our H was 7.8. So we're going to multiply those all together. Alright, when we do that, I got an answer of 588.1, and our label is going to be feet cubed. So feet cubed. Alright, let's move over to number 2. For number 2, we have a cone here. For our cone, we have the radius is 4 centimeters, the height is 9 centimeters. So I like to think of it as anything with a point. I'm going to end up dividing by 3 at the end. So that's a cone, that's any type of pyramid. And that's because for this cone, I can fit 3 of those cones into a cylinder that has the same base shape and the same height. So for this one, we're going to use that capital B times H, but then we're going to divide by 3. That capital B times H is the cylinder. Dividing by 3 gives me 1/3. So capital B, that means I need the area of the base. So I'm going to take pi times 4 squared, that's my circle. Now I'm going to multiply by H, so I'm going to multiply by 9, and then I'm dividing by 3. Alright, I did that and I got 150.7. Okay, we're rounding everything to the nearest tenth, and then my label is centimeters cubed. So that's number 2. Number 3. Okay, again, this one ends in a point, so we're going to do the same thing actually. We're going to do capital B times H, but then divide by 3 since it ends in a point. On this one, capital B is the area of my base. The area of the base on this one is a square, so it's 10 times 10. Now I'm going to multiply by the height of the pyramid. That height is 18, and then we're dividing by 3. For this one, we're going to get 600 centimeters cubed. All right. Number 4 is the dreaded sphere. Now, this one here, the formula looks a little bit goofy. Yes, there's a 4/3 in it. That comes from the radius. Takes 2 radius to make a height. You can go ahead and you can rearrange this equation algebraically, and you can rewrite it the way that we have it. On the other side, you could also take the cone formula and just multiply that by 2. So you can kind of do either one. Really, the biggest error on this one, though, comes into just putting it into the calculator. So let's go through it. For this equation, we need to use 4/3 times pi times radius cubed on this one. And the trick was that you're given the diameter is 10 centimeters, so the radius is going to be 5, and then we're going to cube it. Now, when you go to put this in your calculator, you're going to have to type this 5 as 5. Then you're going to use the caret button, which is a little up arrow, and then to the 3rd power. Okay, if you don't have a calculator like we have at school, if you're using, say, your Chromebook or maybe a calculator on your phone, you might have to type in 5 times 5 times 5 to get 5 cubed. Okay, when you do that, then you can still multiply by pi. You can multiply by the 4/3, or you could multiply by 4 and then divide by 3. Lots of different ways. You just want to make sure that you really get that 5 cubed. The cubing is only on the 5. It's not on the entire equation. Okay, when you do all of that, you would get 523.3 repeated. We're just going to round it to that tenth, so we're going to round it to 0.3, and our label is centimeters cubed. All right, number 5 here. We've got a little bit of a story problem, so we got to think through it. It says a gas tank is in the shape of a rectangular prism that is 2 inches by 2 inches by 6 inches. So imagine a rectangular prism. You got a length, width, and height, 2, 2, and 6. It says if the tank is 75% full, so it's already filled 75% of the way, how many cubic inches of gas can fill the tank? So if I'm thinking about to start and I have my tank here, I'm going to just sketch it out real quick. Say that this is my tank. All right, that's really not a good tank. But if it's 75% of the way full right here, that means I only need to fill what's remaining in it. So I only need to fill 25%. So we're going to need to find what is 25% of the total volume. So we're going to use length times width times height. 2 times 2 times 6. That gets us a total of 24 inches cubed. But I just need to know 25% of that. So here I can either take 25% times 24, or I can take it and I can just divide 24 by 4, because 25% is 1/4. Either way, I'm going to do 24 times my 25, and I get an answer of 6 cubic inches. All right, last one here, number 6. Roy buys a triangular shaped fish tank to put in the corner of his room. The height of the fish tank is 4 feet. The base is 2 feet and it has a depth of 3 feet. He needs to know the volume of the tank to determine how many fish he can buy. So the key to this one, you have to realize what shape it was. It's a triangular shaped fish tank. And so now we need to think about, does it make more sense to have a triangular pyramid or a triangular prism as a fish tank? Okay, I don't know about you, but I've never seen any pyramid shaped fish tank, so I'm going to go with that prism. So if I'm using a prism, I can use that equation of length times width times height, but since it's triangles, I divide by 2. So for this one, you can sketch it out if you need to see the visual. I'm just going to use this equation. I'm going to insert those numbers like we talked about when we do length times width times height. It doesn't matter which one goes where. So I've got 4 times 3 times 2, and then I'm going to divide by 2. 4 times 3 is 12, times 2 is 24. Divide by 2, I'm at 12. So the volume is going to be 12 cubic feet. Hopefully Roy can figure out how many fish he needs to buy now.